All right, and we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So I'm sure the first thing on everybody's minds when they, woke up and checked their phone this morning was like, what is going on with crypto space? We saw, a dump yesterday. Things started to kind of recover a little bit, and then, prices have just gone down again. If you look at any of the crypto websites, it's just like a sea of red. So there's definitely a bloodbath going on. It's something that doesn't look great in the short term. But I'm gonna look at this and tell you what I think about it. And long term, is this like a bad thing for the next month, year, etc., or is this one of those things that might correct itself in the short term? So we're talking about that. We're looking at a lot of other news in the crypto space going on right now. Some bullish catalysts that could be the wind on our sails that we need to move forward in this space. So we'll get into all that and plus your questions in this video. So before we get to that, if you're new around here, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Cajun, Bavesh, Alberto, Darcy, Skull, Nardia. Awesome. Welcome. Yeah, very cool. So somebody says, ETH sucks. Good morning to you too. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in the markets today, see what's going on here. So like I was saying, yeah, we just like to see a sea of red through pretty much all cryptocurrencies on the top 100, right? Page 1 of CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, wherever you like to check your prices first thing in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, things definitely don't look great in the short term, especially if you bought within the last 7 days, if you bought in the last 30 days. So as always, I'm not a big trader, not a big TA guy. What I'm about to say is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy the dip. I'm not telling you to use your diamond hands and hold your coins regardless of what happens. If you want to take some money off the table, it's your decision. If you want to buy the dip, that's your decision. But what do I personally think about this? Because like I said, I'm invested. I'm not personally taking money off the table right now. I'm also not really buying more right now. Okay. For me, the risk reward just doesn't seem like it's worth it as much. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of short term predictions. Long term, I still just don't think we have a good reason to think that our long term upward trend has been broken. Okay. There's some support levels, resistance, that you can watch plenty of other people who are great at TA, draw these things out on a chart. I'm not going to draw the moving averages. I'm not doing all that kind of stuff. There's lots of reasons, from a TA perspective, why I don't quite think we would be, broken out of a long-term trend, or sorry, moved out of a long-term upward trend. Other reason is, just having watched these markets for a long time, some of it's just like gut feeling. Like we've been through these dips a bunch. We haven't seen the big euphoric blow off tops or anything like that. We haven't seen any other major things that would lead me to think that the long-term uptrend is broken and that we're going to just like nuke downward or something like that. That being said, short term, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody really does. Some possibilities to think about are, historically, March has been a negative return month for cryptocurrencies. Some people say that's statistically insignificant. There's no reason to think why every single March you'd see this pattern. It's not every March, by the way. It's many Marches. Many Marches out of the last several years. But if that, if history were to repeat itself, then, we could see BTC drop down to $45,000, right, to have a negative return. I know that would scare a lot of people. That would, fulfill the March negative return superstition. We may not see that. I hope we don't see that. I hope that we continue to trend higher. We'll just see. This is all about probabilities. It's all about, what's likely to happen. The indicators that I talk about, the parabolic blow off top, all that kind of stuff could indicate, those assumptions could be wrong. Maybe those won't signal the end of a bull market like this. That being said, if they don't, then it would be less likely, in my opinion, that we'd see some sort of massive sell-off and some massive long-term bearishness. Okay, maybe it'd be a milder cycle at that point. But if we do enter that parabolic blow-off top phase, then I would expect it to be a pretty hard correction. But we definitely have not gotten there yet. So that's what I think about the big picture, about the long term. We can look at some on-chain metrics if you want to. But again, short term, I don't have any price predictions. I don't know how long we'll, continue to go lower. If we go sideways, if it's a slow recovery, how long it'll take us to get to the moon, so to speak. I don't know. But that's, like I said, I'm not taking money off the table right now. Not financial advice for you. If it makes you feel better to take a little risk off the table, then hey, that's your call. If you're feeling if you're feeling bold and you want to jump on this opportunity to buy more, that's your call too. If you want to do nothing, like exactly what I'm doing, that's also your call. So let's just look at a couple on-chain metrics really quickly. So I'm going to look at where we are with our. Let's look at here. I'm going to have some more of these metrics ready for you all next time because I've been getting a lot more on-chain metrics. I think they're really valuable insights. To me, they're more valuable than TA. One, I'm not a skilled TA person because I'm not a big trader. The other is I love the validity of what's happening on chain. It's one of those things. It's very easy to trust what you're seeing. Now you have to be able to actually generate the insights and trust your ability to read the insights. But I like the fact that we can verify everything that's happening on chain. I mean, of course, I like that because I'm a blockchain developer. I like to see what's happening on chain. But let's just check a couple on-chain metrics. So we look at the Newport chart again. One positive is if we assume correctly that we're continuing on in a bull trend, then we are going to give us some more headroom on a Newport chart with a correction like this. So some will have less of a percentage. And sorry, this is not correct. Let's try to get it actually up to date. Sorry, it's not working properly. Yeah, if we continue to trend higher, which I do think we will, we'll have some more headroom to do that and can form a higher high. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Okay, hold on, let me just reset this. Sorry, this chart's a little hard to navigate live. Yeah, here we go. So if you look at this, we definitely are making more headroom on the Newport chart. So basically, this is the percentage of supply and profit. Again, if you cross the 0.75 line, that indicates a euphoric state. We are moving away from a euphoric state, which honestly means a healthier market. So I think about it, there's so much leverage in this system. That's one of the things that kind of props these prices up. I mean, you can look at like the Bitcoin liquidation charts and see, you look at other cryptocurrency liquidation charts and see where it is. Because don't forget, one of the reasons the prices are able to move up so fast is because of leverage. That's sometimes when you see these big blowups, it's because people are over leveraged and they get absolutely wrecked. And when that leverage gets sucked out of the system, then basically the prices fall really fast, right? It contributes to the volatility. Even at these larger market caps, it still has a pretty big impact. So those are some of my takes on what's going on right now. Of course, we can look at. I'm gonna have some more of these metrics prepared for you all because again, like I really like doing this. I'm actually building my own analytics dashboard for on-chain metrics, and I'm using myself to kind of read some of this stuff. So you'll be seeing some of that pretty soon in the videos. I'll tell you more about that, how you all can get access to it too. So, all right, so let's look at some news. Let's make things a little more lighthearted. I know some people out there are feeling some pain for sure. Even though I'm not taking money off the table, it does help to zoom out, right? I haven't bought any more in a while, so I've been in profit for a long time. I know it's a little more painful when you're close to not being in profit, but I went through this stuff, I was accumulating a lot last year. So trust me, I know what it's like to buy and then go through this sort of stuff where you see a big rise and then this correction. I mean, I was here through all this. So, I bought a lot last year, especially in the fall, went through this and then watched it all fall and then chop sideways until we weren't really sure that the bull market was really going to continue at that point. It was sort of like, because we went through this back in May. All right, we saw this massive dump, in March, massive dump, and then, slow rise. And then if you bought a lot here, you're super excited, and then boom, it falls back down again. So trust me, I know what it feels like. But if you zoom out, over the last year, you're still up like 10x from where we were. So I realize not everybody's been in the market that long, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I also know what it's like to get in and then watch the prices fall fast with a lot of money. So let's look at some lighthearted stuff here. Let's change gears to Mr. Elon Musk. Keeps making cameo appearances in crypto. We're talking about Elon being the man with the Midas touch here. Today he's talking about DeFi. All right, so he likes to put these kind of like cryptic tweets out there. Doesn't seem like it's having much effect on the price of cryptocurrency today, but he says don't defy DeFi. I like it. So who knows if he's talking about just Bitcoin, or if he's talking about actual DeFi that's happening on top of Ethereum and similar blockchains. We've seen other prominent people get into the DeFi space. See Mark Cuban getting into DeFi. We've seen lots of other people too. I think we've seen Elon kind of give some attention to what's been going on in DeFi before, but it's cool to see this sort of shout out here again. So another piece of potential bullish catalyst for the entire crypto space is Fidelity. Talking about a Bitcoin ETF. Okay. So they are not the first person to attempt a Bitcoin ETF in the United States. So let me explain what this is and why it's so important. Sometimes this gets a little confusing. So what is an ETF? Well, it's an exchange traded fund. So it's basically a way to trade Bitcoin and get exposure to it on an exchange without actually owning Bitcoin. Okay. So ETFs have been big for other like commodities in the past. People have talked about like the gold ETF. Okay, so a gold exchange traded fund was a big catalyst for the price of gold. I don't have the historical metrics off the top of my head, but if you look at like a Market Watch, here's an old article from 2013, world's first, gold-backed ETF, a decade old, talking about it being a big catalyst. You can go look at the stats if you want to, but that's one of the people being so bullish about a Bitcoin ETF is I think it could be another major catalyst for people who don't like go to cryptocurrency exchanges and hold Bitcoin in their wallets, more traditional investors, to get exposure to Bitcoin by buying it in a derivative form like this, which just opens up the floodgates to more people participating in the Bitcoin market. So we'll see if that's true. Of course, we saw Bitcoin futures launch at the top of the last market cycle, which had a negative effect on the price. Well, we don't know. We don't know if that actually had much of a negative effect, if it was just coincidence. But there's some people who think that, oh, it's awesome. Fidelity's pushing for the Bitcoin ETF, and it's gonna come like it's gonna arrive at the top of this market cycle, and everybody's gonna get wrecked. So we don't know if that's gonna happen, but. Fidelity's not the first person to try this. We've got a list of longer names here. Of course, we seen other Bitcoin ETF efforts in other countries, in Canada, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to pull this off in the U.S. Who would be the first? Of course, we need cooperation from regulators to make this happen. We'll just wait and see. So another cool thing that I saw come up was the staked Ethereum trust. So we're talking about, people getting institutions buying Bitcoin, buying ETH, sort of that next rung down in the ladder. We also talk about the Grayscale Ethereum trust a lot on this channel, how that's such a big deal. Well, now we see people getting exposure to ETH trust that actually is staked, okay? So again, whenever these cryptocurrencies are held in a trust like this, it lets other people get exposure to them without actually having to hold the cryptocurrencies themselves. Okay, this is popular for other, other people, like I said, who don't want to have the wallets. They don't want to sign up for a Coinbase account or Binance or Kraken, whatever. So this is actually pretty cool because it allows people to earn staking rewards. Okay, so you can actually just buy a staked, like a derivative of staked Ether, and capitalize on that without having to go through the crazy headache of doing any kind of staking. Because of course there's different ways to stake. You can actually run your own node, run your own validator node, stake your Ether to it. Okay. And, that's a ton of It's very complicated. Vast majority of people just aren't going to do that. So there are, of course, other services that allow you to do that. They'll sort of take some sort of cut off the top for providing that convenience to you. And you can just stake, click a button basically and do that. And they'll take a little cut off the top. So this is a similar type of thing. But again, they don't have to go through that level of signing up for a cryptocurrency exchange, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have to hold wallets. They can just do this. And it looks like right now they're giving rewards about 7.5% annually. So another cool development, we keep seeing the NFT space actually explode. We saw, Mark Cuban talking about launching his NFT platform. His NFT art gallery. Excuse me. We're seeing NFTs basically reach low-key mainstream adoption. We saw Adobe Photoshop yesterday tweet out something about NFTs and crypto art. I don't have that tweet right in front of me either. Wish I had these last couple tweets so I could show you all. But, we're seeing more people converge around this use case and trying to make this use case more mainstream, make it easier for consumers to participate. So Circle is rolling out a payment solution for NFT marketplaces. So Circle, USDC, that's who you should think of there. So they're working on a payment solution for non-fungible tokens and marketplaces. Looks like, this is new to me, so I just read this article right before I went live here. So let me just make sure I get it all correct. So basically, this is exactly what I was saying. The firm's solution is designed to incentivize more NFT transactions as well as make the process more seamless for buyers. So they can transact via traditional crypto payments using Circle's NFT solution, and it looks like they can also pay with other payment sources, like accept credit card payments in addition to crypto. So basically, it's making it easier for other people to buy NFTs but still own them in a trustless, decentralized way. So this is gonna be big. We've seen other platforms take off. People can just buy NFTs with a credit card. This is cool because this would probably facilitate, I don't have total details, but it looks like it would facilitate purchases of NFTs like on top of ETH. You know what I mean? Where you could buy it with a credit card but still hold the NFT in an Ethereum wallet or something like that. That's pretty cool. So who knows? Maybe we'll see people buy, like a CryptoPunk with a credit card or something like that. Maybe not. They have to have a pretty high credit limit in order to buy it. Maybe a debit card. But this is awesome. All right, so let's see if we got some questions here in the chat. Does anybody have questions about Uniswap v3? I read more about the paper yesterday. I've got a video coming out about that, I think on Friday. So I did more of a deep dive on sort of what's happening with the Uniswap v3 launch, why it's so important. I know it kind of got mixed reviews. Some people thought, oh, this was like overhyped. So let me know what you think down in the chat, or do you think it's as cool as I do? Because I think it's awesome. So somebody says, well, the Uniswap token still hold governance value with V3. Yeah, I think so. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Somebody says V3 is going to help out Ethereum out. So yes, I think you're right. So somebody says, Optimism ready. That's a good question. So I haven't seen any more news of Optimism going live just yet. So if anybody was wondering what we're talking about here, we've been talking about Optimism a ton on this channel. That it's a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. So basically it's building a second layer on top of the Ethereum blockchain. I've been so excited about Optimism because it makes it easy for developers to move their contracts over to that layer. And yeah, anyways, they've been talking, they advertised a March launch. So we're getting pretty close to the end of March here. I haven't heard anything about a mainnet launch for sure. I can actually look it up. So we might be delayed. I've talked about, we were piecing together the breadcrumbs on this channel. I was really excited about Optimism. I'd seen Unipig, which was the Uniswap testnet on Optimism. We'd seen, pretty glowing reviews of Optimism from the Uniswap team on their website. So I was like, yeah, they're probably going to use Optimism. We saw Optimism talk about launching in March. So yeah, basically we're kind of piecing together a timeline of a March launch for Optimism, then other teams launching soon after that, probably with Uniswap. That is what happened, but we don't see an Optimism launch just yet. So Uniswap V3 is launching in May, early May. So I mean they've gotta unless they get pushed back, it's gotta launch between now and then. I'm looking on their Twitter here. I don't see anything just yet. So we'll wait and see. I mean, they could surprise us. We still got a few days left here in March, but if it doesn't happen quite in March, I would expect to come pretty soon after that because there's lots of other big launches that are dependent upon that. Somebody says, is Optimism ETH based? Yes, so it is ETH based. So it has its own optimistic virtual machine, which is based on the EVM. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about it, is because there's basically there's hardly, I'll put it that way, it's hardly any friction for developers to move their smart contracts over to Optimism. If it runs on the EVM, it basically runs on the OVM. And that's how Optimism works. Basically, it creates this new layer that derives its security from the base Ethereum chain, and then all the transactions that happen are the result of those transactions are settled on top of Ethereum. Optimism is a layer 2 scaling solution. So it's not an Ethereum fork. It runs on top of Ethereum. You need Ethereum in order for Optimism to run. Somebody says ETH short-term bearish. You might be right. Somebody says ETH is the Netscape of cryptos. I don't think so. Yeah, we talk about this a lot where people love to use these analogies of like MySpace versus Facebook, Netscape versus Internet Explorer, and then eventually later Chrome, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think these are great analogies because people are using those to justify like Ethereum killers and to say these other apps are going to come out, or these other platforms are going to come out and just eat ETH's lunch. The problem is that the analogies are incomplete because it's not just like I've gone through this in pretty big detail in other videos. You can go check those out if you want to. But the short answer is MySpace versus Facebook. They're both just websites. Building websites is basically a solved problem, and all you need to create is the network effect, basically the users. Now, it was hard to build websites back when MySpace was around. It was a lot harder to build them. It was a lot harder to build websites when Facebook was first coming out, but nowhere near as hard as it is to build blockchains. Not even close. You got college kids, building those websites. Very, 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 very smart, very, very bright, very, very talented college kids. But you had people like that building those platforms. Okay. The amount of manpower it takes to build a public blockchain is absolutely insane compared to that. It's more like putting a rocket on the moon when no one's put a rocket on the moon yet. And then also the problem with that analogy is it's not just building an app like MySpace or Facebook. You have to build an internet. You have to build a network for the app to run on. You have to build the apps, and then you have to get the users. So it's like saying, I have to build a new copy of the internet, convince a bunch of other people to use it. I have to build a bunch of killer apps to go on top of that or people to use it. And it has to work better than this existing copy of the internet over here that already has a bunch of apps that a bunch of other people are using. That's going to get a lot better, and they're about to, unleash broadband. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, that's a better analogy. So we'll see. Nobody has a crystal ball for sure. I'm not saying that, ETH is a sure bet forever, that that it's the only thing that could ever be the dominant smart contract platform. But if I had to make a bet based on all the information available today, I would say that. But time will tell. Okay, and if that ever changes, if that relationship ever changes, then I'll just change my mind. Somebody says college kids, LOL. Somebody says, is sound working for everybody else? So is there a problem with the sound? I think everybody's been fine. Usually when there's something wrong with the sound, people are absolutely blowing up in the chat. Somebody says, how much do I think ETH Berlin upgrade will improve the gas fees? Also, technically, what will change? So we'll see some improvements with gas fees with these subsequent upgrades, but the biggest improvements that you're going to see are with layer 2 scaling solutions. That's what you really want to look out for. And like I said, we'll just stay tuned and see what happens with Optimism, these other ones. There's other layer 2 scaling solutions out there. So I don't want to pretend like they don't exist. I've just been really doubled down on Optimism for a couple reasons. Of course, there's Arbitrum, there's others. I've watched it for a long time. I was pretty sure that that's what Uniswap is going to launch on. That's why I've been talking about it. And I think because Uniswap's planning to use it, we'll see lots of other applications consolidate around that same scaling solution. I think that's what's going to happen. That being said, we do need competition in this space. We want it to be decentralized because we don't. It's not great for everybody to probably use the exact same thing unless there's a way to decentralize that usage as well. Which I guess there is with validation. I don't know. It's just hard to say. Like, we'll see. That's something I'm still kind of thinking about, and what's good, what's the best outcome there. So that's a thought that's still in process. So don't like take everything that I just said and run with it there. We'll have to wait and see. That's the great thing about being in this space is people talk about like, test and prod. Well, some of this is like think in prod. It's like you're the bleeding edge of technology. We're seeing all this stuff happen. We're making judgment calls about what to do, what's going to work, what doesn't work, and some of this stuff you have to change your mind on fast. Somebody says optimism isn't real. So somebody says ETH 2.0 will fetches deadline, or do they need more time, you think? So we don't have an official deadline for ETH 2.0. Anytime like deadlines come up with this type of stuff, it's kind of like the danger zone because now there's expectations. Typically what we see happen is people say stuff's going to happen on blank date, or really it's blank block when everything's ready. Everything's ready. They know what's going to happen. And they say, here's the block at which this change is going to occur. It's much safer to make those announcements when stuff is ready to go. There's a bow on it. All we have to do is basically turn it on. And that's an oversimplified explanation, but that's the gist, okay? So we saw that with ETH 2.0 launch. So don't forget, ETH 2.0 is part of a multi-phase migration. We're already in phase 0. So we have ETH 2.0 turned on. It's a separate blockchain. You can go stake on it right now. You have to move your ETH from the ETH that you use and know today to ETH 2.0. We're going to get out of that phase, go into phase 1, phase 2. Whenever they announce that the new phase is coming, they'll usually announce it. It usually will be a very short amount of time, maybe like a month, maybe a few weeks for official announcements. And whenever those announcements are made, they're usually spot on, okay? Unless something happens, and if something happens, then they'll address it. It's crazy. We're fixing the plane while it's flying. Somebody says hopium versus optimism. That'd be great if we saw a hopium scaling solution. Somebody says proof of stake only cryptos with a future. Yeah, maybe I could definitely see proof of stake being a catalyst for ETH as a green blockchain in a store of value compared to Bitcoin. That's an important thing for a lot of people. So that could be a narrative that could help Ethereum long term. We'll see. Somebody says, is Solidity a must for crypto? is C plus. Is it C++ syntax? So Solidity, yes, it is a must for crypto if you want to build dApps that people use right now, because the dApps that people use right now are primarily on Ethereum, and a lot of them moved over to Binance Smart Chain, which is Ethereum compatible chain. So if you know Solidity, you can develop dApps for either of those blockchains. If you know C++, you'll be able to pick up Solidity a lot faster than somebody who doesn't. Somebody says ETH 2.0 is a fraud. I don't think so. So $25 gas fees. I smell BS. Yeah, just wait for layer 2. That's all I'd say. We're going to have high gas fees long-term on layer 1 Ethereum. That's not going to go away. Unfortunately, it's just a state of things. I mean, that's assuming that Ethereum price goes up long-term. So let's say we do live in a $10,000 Ethereum world or Ether world. And let's say we can go higher than that. Let's say Ethereum does become like this multi-trillion-dollar asset. Okay, the price of it could go way up. And the gas fees are still going to be expensive on layer 1 at that point. But that's why we need layer 2. Layer 1 will always stay the most secure whale chain. So if you're like moving around, like 8 figures worth of cryptocurrency, you're going to do it on layer 1. At least that's what I would advise. You know what I mean? And you're going to pay the gas fees. It's going to suck, but I wouldn't be slinging that kind of money around onto a layer 2. That's what I would say. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel. It really helps these videos out so more people can learn about blockchain. If you want to see these live streams Monday through Friday, you can turn on notifications. And if you don't get those notifications, you can always show back up here on this channel around 9:30 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Sometimes we get started a little bit later, depending on the day. But that's about when we get started. If you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find any of my free courses there, like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. If you like those videos, you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. All right. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp.